this is how you end an arc. Okay. So, last time we were here with Batman in 156, Edward Nygma just realized that the Court of Owls was using him, and there were bombs fucking everywhere, and Jim Gordon went to go help him, or tried to help him get out of there, and Batman realized that he had to go up against kgbeast. Now, the thing with that is that when we start here, he is nowhere near kgbeast. kgbeast is still out in like downtown in the middle of the protest talking about how Gotham is shitty and how the revolution is here and blah blah blah. So he is trying to get to Lenoid. So Lenoid is on the phone with the person in Russia who is like his boss, and he's like, oh, I have the drive. Anatoli is like not here with us though, and he's like, oh, that's just, typical casualty, is fine. However, Batman shows up in that plane and starts whooping everybody's ass. So he's handling that, and over at the center where Wayne Enterprises and everything, Mad Hatter is downstairs with his people, and Harvey's like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? And like going off on him. He's like, pause. He was like, Batman saved my life, so I returned the favor. And one of the bombs was successful in exploding, but I don't think anybody died. I don't know. So he's like, but I didn't kill anybody. So it turns out that Edward Nygma and Jim Gordon are still alive, along with his agent up there. They were able to get out of the main part of that blast. So then they started fighting again. Nygma starts choking him about talking about how he could have just walked away from all of this and just been the person who killed the mayor or whatever the fuck. But Jim was not going down like that, So meanwhile, on the plane, he's beating up everybody, and having that inner dialogue with himself about what the hell is going on. And Lenoid fires at him. He's able to bounce it off of his glove, which actually is what ends up shooting Lenoid in the chest. But Lenoid got off 3 shots, one of which killed one of the pilots, and the others damaged the system. So the plane is crashing, and Lenoid and Batman are having a conversation. He's like, why the fuck are you doing this? What is your problem? The whole entire thing was just fucking propaganda. Literally, the entire reason they did this was so that people who were from Russia that were living in Gotham or in the US period would come back home. He was like, Gotham represents is our fucking boogeyman. It's the worst place for them to be, because they start talking about fucking freedom and all this other stuff, and thinking communism is bad, and they see Wayne Enterprises helping people and all this other stuff, because he was like, Wayne Enterprises have been building people up and giving people jobs and coming up with this and that and all this other stuff, giving back to Gotham City to make sure that Gotham City is cool, and you came to ruin that for propaganda? Insanity. Do you hear what I'm saying? So after Lenoid dies and he figures out what the hell is that, his whole entire thing is, I need to go after kgbeast now. So the plane is crashing. He gets on the line with Harvey, and Harvey's like, where are you? Are you in the fucking building? He's like, no, I am in the air on a plane that's going to be crashing. So Harvey is trying to tell people that they need to get out of the way because there is a plane that's coming in to crash. As he's telling his officers to help roll them out of there, Vandal Savage comes on and is just like, oh, ignore that. We need to be over at the protest. Batman's just trying to keep you from being over there. And Harvey's like, fuck Vandal Savage. Let's get them fucking people out of there. So he is on the plane, and he has all this, so he has to dump the fuel, right? And then he gets these 2 massive guns and he shoots off the wings. And that whole time that all of that is happening up in the air, Commander Star, aka kgbeast, is taking his friend Dr. Burke, where that lady, and he's about to hang her in the fucking towns, in the middle of town. So that plane is landing, okay, and like whole time also Jim and Nygma are still fighting in the fucking building, and Nygma is like on a cliff, and he's like, oh, after everything I've done for you, you're still trying to convince yourself that you're a good man or whatever. And I can't really tell if he like pushes himself off or he slips, but Jim uses the utility belt that Batman gave him to save him by swinging him into another part of the building. Good for Jim. And then we get to the fight between kgbeast and Batman after he lets his friend down from being hanged. And it's a doozy. He was like, you know, the accent's gone. You got your hand fixed. He's like, imagine doing all of that and still come into my city and get your ass beat. He's not lying. Batman is beating his ass. You hear me? And so he takes out his little dual knife wielding things and he starts fighting with him, but Batman is able to get a hold of one of them, puts it on, and Batman is so angry because of everything that was happening, like everything from them presenting somebody being his brother to steal Wayne Enterprises, to Jim killing the mayor who has been on Batman's side, to all of this other stuff that's happening in Gotham City, where he has been trying to rebuild Gotham City to where it needed to be. And he was so angry. Everything that was happening was it was out of anger. He's so angry. He cuts off that man's hand again. And he's like almost basically beating him to death, but there are people watching. So he stops himself, and he's not about to give like a speech or anything like that. He's like, I'm not doing this. Harvey does tell him that Jim is safe, Nygma's been arrested, and he's like, you know, it's a win, it just doesn't feel like one. So a week later, Bruce Wayne appears in this free clinic with the guy who's supposed to be his brother. So he goes to talk to him, and the guy's like, you know what, I don't want your money. I don't actually care about this fucking lawsuit. They were making it seem like it was more than what it was supposed to be, which is the only reason that I even participated. But you are a fucking mess. He was like, every time I turn on the TV and you are there, you are in some type of mess. You are such a messy adult, and I like what I'm doing right now. He was like, even if your dad and my mom did something, it didn't have anything to do with me. And so he does pull out the DNA results. He's like, Thomas Wayne is not my father. You are not my brother. I don't want anything to do with you people. And honestly, I want this to just be, I want to just be left alone at this point. So he gives him the results, and, you know, Bruce is standing there reading it, of course. And he's like, I just want for you to be happy. That's it. Whatever that takes. Stop being messy. Some real shit that he needed to hear. So he gets in the car with Dr. Leslie. Dr. Leslie's like, oh, so are we expecting one more person for Thanksgiving? He's like, nah. DNA results prove that he's not actually my brother. He was like, but he's different than I thought. He's actually refreshing, you know? And so then he starts talking about his friendship with Jim Gordon. And he is like, you know, Jim was one of the best people that I've ever met. How do I look at him, or, you know, how do I live with what he's done from this point forward? And he was like, Jim made a mistake. Jim is human. All you have to do is be human with him. That's what being a friend is about, you know? And so she's not wrong. So the two of them decide to have coffee. He is dressed up as Batman, and they're having coffee on the roof. And they talk about the fact that Harvey had been fired by Vandal about what happened. He was thinking about reapplying to the force, and he's like, you know, Vandal will probably start him out as like a fucking B cop or something like that. And Batman is like, I mean, you should, like, we need somebody who's going to keep Vandal Savage in check. Even in this conversation that they're having, Jim is really trying to take responsibility for what happened, and Batman is like trying to make the excuse that, you know, oh, it was Nygma Tech and da-da-da-da. He was like, but remember in the fight when he punched me in the face, my glasses broke. Those Nygma Tech glasses were broken. He was like, oh, it still has lasting effects. And he was like, no, I was angry. I was so angry and so hurt. He was like, I'm the one who pulled that trigger. This is my mistake. And, you know, he was like, Kikyo's gone. Everything is just like all fucked up. And he's like, everything is fucked up because of me. It was literal conscious mistakes that I was making. And I'm glad that he was taking some responsibility there. Because Batman continuously making excuses for him is insane. But he was like, you know, mistakes were made. Because Batman's about to leave. Mistakes were made. Mistakes will be made. And he was like, the only thing that we can do is just, you know, make mistakes together. And he leaves. This was good. That fight between him and Anatoli, fire. This was a really good arc story, coming straight out of Absolute Power into DC All In. I really enjoyed these like 4 issues, although I have absolutely no idea what's happening. So I really did enjoy these 4 issues, and I'm glad that we see the out of character Jim Gordon. So even though there was some tampering, he was still making conscious decisions, and he was still being himself while not being himself. You know, he was still able to see through the looking glass at that point. So I enjoyed that he took some accountability for what he did, took responsibility for the things that he did. And he's like, you know, I have to wash this away before I'm able to continue. It's got to go. So I'm glad about that. And I'm glad that Bruce Wayne heard some real shit coming from somebody who didn't want what he had to begin with, and is able to tell him about himself without even actually knowing him for real. Somebody's got to say it. Shit. So enjoyed thoroughly. Very happy with all of this. So 10 out of 10. I don't know what's going to be happening after this. Hopefully they keep that shit up. But that is it for this episode of The Doctor's Office, and I will see you guys at your next checkup. Make sure that you check the podcast, get the book.